Making videos that nobody watches is going to be one of the hardest things to mentally manage as a creator. Sinking lots of time and effort into something you're proud of that then gets shown to nobody or, very few people is tough. It's hard to want to continue pursuing content creation when that happens. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be the burden of bad news. This is just one of many challenges that you will face as a creator in your journey to success and full-time. From, like I said, making videos that nobody wants to watch, that's going to impact then, consistency and your desire to keep showing up. You're going to get jealous of other people that are having success before you or at the same time as you that you think you're better than. And then when you do start to have success and you get momentum, algorithms are going to change, things aren't going to make sense, your views are going to drop, and that is going to frustrate you as well. And you're then going to become addicted to chasing numbers and optimizing your content, and that's going to take away the fun from creating content. How do I know all this? Because I have been through this myself. I've spoken to many creators, all go through the same problems and challenges, and I just want to talk a little bit about this today, and my story around these and how I've overcome them myself to be a, happier creator, more sustainable creator, more and better in control of my mind, when it comes to pushing out videos, so that I can, keep doing what I'm doing and still kind of be relatively positive day to day. So I've made hundreds of videos that have gotten, very little views across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, even my podcasts that were getting bare 50 to 100 views. And how did that make me feel? It made me feel not great. There seems to just be this discussion around, just put out stuff you're proud of and just make stuff you want to make. And there comes a point where that isn't enough anymore. We want numbers, we want progress, we want to be doing well. And you could create as much as you want that you're proud of, but if you're not getting any results back, it's so hard to continue to motivate yourself. Creating content requires a lot of sacrifice. I've talked about this so many times, and when you make a lot of sacrifice towards something, and in your mind you convince yourself that you're not getting back the thing that you want from it, it becomes very difficult to want to continue to do it. And sometimes that thing that you want back from it can take 6 months, it can take a year, it can take 2 or 3 years. And if that is the only thing that you're focused on as the reward, then it becomes so hard to maintain consistency in posting. And believe it or not, this has been me. I have, said I've done 4 or 5, 6 different niches across formats. Why? Because with each one of them, I ran out of steam. I wasn't getting the progress or the reward that I thought that I wanted, and I just felt like changing would solve my problems, and it kind of didn't. Every time I changed, it was like I was starting again, and I was chasing this, reward, of full-time content creation or money or growth or numbers. And it kind of just never really came in the amounts that I wanted it to. And then that caused me to just, feel deflated. And I was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. I'm going to take a break, reevaluate, and go back to the drawing board. And then a few times I had success, algorithm changes. I used to just blame the algorithm all the time. And what kind of sparked part of this video is on Threads. Creators are blaming the Instagram algorithm left, right, and center. I can't believe, I used to get this amount of views and now I don't get this amount of views. And, this used to be me. Any time that I saw a downturn of views, I just think, this is it. Why me? I deserve to get more views. You need to remember, just because you make content, you're not entitled to views. YouTube doesn't owe you views, Instagram doesn't owe you views, TikTok doesn't owe you views. They don't owe you anything. You chose to be on the platform. You chose to post content there for whatever reason, right? And when you join a platform and post content, they don't say, we guarantee you views, right? There is some sort of slight guarantee that they'll push the video out. But if your videos aren't good enough, if your videos aren't being engaged by people viewing it, why should the platform push it out, you know? And this is also the challenge that I faced in my head. You know, I used to think my content was great. I used to question why it's not being pushed out more. And when I retrospectively look back at it, I'm like, do you know what? I know why it wasn't being pushed out more, because it was shit. It wasn't very good. And at that time, there were probably thousands of creators in my niche creating content on the same stuff that was way better than mine. And so if a user comes onto a platform and they consume 30 videos, right? If my video is the worst out of all of them, or let's say there's 50 videos that could be shown in those 30 slots. If my video doesn't make the top 30 because people's behavior on that video is signaling to the platform that it's not a very good video, why should YouTube or any other platform push it out more? Once you can understand that, like, you just become less in this feeling of like entitlement to views, because a lot of creators have that when they begin, and I did too, and you need to just get over that very, very quickly. And that's just what you've got to understand, is that if you're not getting views and people aren't watching your videos, it's perhaps because the videos just aren't good enough yet. You know, people aren't interested in your content enough, or they're not interested in you enough because you haven't developed your kind of like on-person camera presence, or like you haven't found your style that matches the content that you create. It took me a very long time to find that, and that was frustrating, super, super frustrating. I was like, I think I can create good content. I just couldn't find what was like the right fit for me, and every time I found it, just kind of unfound itself. It didn't work, and I burnt out and I stopped. And so when it comes to like actionable advice here, and what I would recommend doing based off of my experiences, is firstly, just think about like what you can actually control yourself. And the two priorities here are being consistent and being consistent in your desire to improve. So making sure that you can stick to some sort of consistent posting schedule. That could be once a week, it could be 2 times a week, it could be 3 times a week. It doesn't matter, as long as you can just be consistent with it. Pick times and days every week that you know nothing else is going to get in the way, and that's when you create content. Make creating content a priority. A priority over so many other things in your life, because that is the thing that you need to get done. And if you say you're going to make a video on Wednesday, and for some reason you can't make that video, you need to do everything in your power to make sure on Thursday you make that video, because as soon as you start to lose consistency, it becomes really hard to bring it back. So wake up on Thursday morning and make that video first thing, and get it done, get it out the way, and get back into that rhythm. And then the second part, and I talk about this a lot, and I'm really passionate about this consistency with like a desire for improvement. So making sure you're watching podcasts, making sure you're watching videos, making sure you're constantly learning and not relying on consistency for improvement, because too many people do that, and the consistency of like making videos doesn't bring them improvement quick enough, right? It's like you can turn up to training every single week and just rely on me doing that one training session a week and putting that practice into a match, or I can train every week, and then in my own spare time I can also learn strategy, learn certain skills, go that extra mile to make sure that you are continuing to improve, just on top of the foundation of the improvement that consistency brings you, if that makes sense. And then with this consistency and improvement, you should be experimenting, you know? If things aren't working, mix it up, force yourself to change, right? Because you're going to find that a lot of things are not going to work. You're going to have to throw a lot of shit at the wall and nothing's going to stick. And if you keep throwing the same shit at the wall, don't expect to then just get results, because that's what a lot of people do. They do the same thing after the same thing after the same thing, and they complain that they're not getting any results. And I look back at their content, I'm saying, you're not experimenting enough here. You need to figure out what is the right thing that's going to suit you, that's going to get you that growth and get you that progressing, get you that numbers, get you the things that I want. And you won't get that unless you experiment. But experimentation is hard. It requires more effort, it requires more energy. You're going to experiment and you're going to be hit with absolutely no views, and it's going to piss you off because you're going to be like, oh, I just spent all that time creating this video that's very different than I usually do, and it did shit. I don't feel motivated to create this again. You need to overcome that and just think, I tried something new. It wasn't very efficient, but I learned how to do something new. Maybe I could do it again. Maybe I could think about how I could do it differently, because this is where like a lot of creators, I think, go wrong, is that, you know, they look at low view videos and they just kind of move on and don't even think about them. I cry when I get low view videos. I still do now. I've only just gotten over it. And I give myself I post a video, I give myself the evening to cry. Not literally. I'll give myself the evening. I'll know when a video's done bad straight away on my short form. And I'll get up, I'll be like, pour my heart and soul into that. It did rubbish. Like, I'll give myself that evening. I'll wake up the next day, right, on to the next one. But first, before we move on to the next one, let's look at that video and let's look at it objectively and think, why didn't it do that well? Was it the idea? Was it the execution? Was it this? Was it that? Okay, I think the idea is strong. I believe in it. Can I remake this video? I'm not going to remake this video again now. I'm going to let it sit for a bit. I'm going to do a few other videos for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'm going to come back to this one because I really feel strongly about this idea or video. I maybe just didn't execute it very well. I'll try it again. If it does badly again, I'll maybe look at it and go, maybe my perspective on this being a good video for my audience is just wrong. You know, maybe I got it wrong. I get it wrong quite often where I think my audience is going to like something and they don't. And that's okay. Maybe I could still post it if I still feel really passionate about it, but this is where you have to balance like your desires to create what you want to create and your desires to get views, you know? Because I've said this before, you can continue to post what you want to create and what you want to create, but if that's not getting you any views, you'll probably burn out and not want to create anymore. You have to have a balance of stuff that you want to create and stuff that you know will get views, and then in a perfect world, you'll find a middle ground where you can create stuff that you want to create and stuff that will get views, and that will get you momentum. You're doing what you like, and this is when you're in like that golden period and you can just full send it. And my next tip for kind of managing, you know, the mental aspects of content creator is just to diversify yourself. I found that as I've diversified myself more content on different platforms. So if something does badly somewhere and it does well somewhere else, I can celebrate that win. Or if I'm not having much success on Instagram recently, but YouTube is growing for me a bit, that's where I can, you know, celebrate that. And I feel like when you're just focused on one platform and posting 1 video a week or 2 videos a week, when they continue to do bad, it's really difficult to celebrate. It's really difficult to celebrate. So if you've got the time to, really try to diversify yourself across short form, long form, even the writing platforms, Threads, X, LinkedIn, and you will just start to see progress in little areas, and you can use that to motivate you to keep going. And on the aspect of time, this is arguably one of the most important things of this video. You need to continue to reevaluate your time, because what a lot of creators do, and I've been guilty of this in the past, if you're spending too much time on something that isn't contributing to your goal, and you need to take a step back and look at this. Every couple of weeks, every month, just think, how am I spending my time? What am I doing? And if you have to write everything you down through content creation, then look at, are you streaming too much? Are you spending too much time editing or too little time on the ideas? Like, where are you going wrong? What are you not prioritizing that's super important? It's easy to get lost in our own habits when it comes to content creation, and we think we're doing the right things and spending the right amount of time on the right things, but actually when we step back, we go, actually, I spend 5 hours a week on like this really small part of the editing process, and actually that's probably not that valuable. Or I'm only spending half an hour coming up with ideas. Maybe I should spend longer on that. So you need to identify like where are the most important things in the kind of content creation process that you think are going to lead to the biggest results, and try and double down on those things. And then my last tip is play the long game. Play the long game. Have a mindset where you are in this for your whole fucking career. 5, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. I don't care how long you set that kind of year thing, but for me, I've talked about this before, it was 10 years. I said, I'm gonna give myself 10 years to make it. 10 years of making videos. Fuck me, if I weren't a success after making 10 years of videos, I'd have to really question my abilities at anything. 10 years of like some level of consistency when making videos. I understand in a 10-year period, like sometimes you're not going to be consistent as other times, but in 10 years, you're going to be like making videos like that progressively. Like you're going to get better. And so when you zoom out of that and look at like one video that you made today, in 3.5 years time or in 2 years time, that one video is going to be such a tiny piece of the puzzle in your whole journey. That one video is going to be 1 out of like 700. So what and how that performs today in the grand scheme of things of your long-term journey is basically nothing. And if you can get that in your head and just think, let's just move on to the next video, let's just keep progressing, keep improving, you will have a far better creator mindset than someone just gets bogged down in the day-to-day metrics. Because as long as you're moving in the right direction and moving forward, you will get there and you will be successful. But you're gonna have to really manage these hurdles and mental aspects of content creation, because they are gonna come, they are gonna hit you, they are gonna test you. But if you can get through them, you'll get out to the other side and you'll be a winner and you'll be happy and you'll have the life that you want to live.